Am I, say, the biggest fan of the movie The Last Jedi? No.
Yeah.
But am I pleased when people say they love it and that it means something to them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Why, why would let's take it from instead of a micro point of view, let's take it from a macro point of view. Life is tough and bad things happen in real life. And as someone who works in entertainment, anytime a successful product gets put out that means something to people, I feel like we all win.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the vitriol, like the fans fighting each other.
Oh, it's
Debating
awful.
is one thing.
Yes.
Debating is fine.
Yes.
But people shaming each other,
Yeah.
shut up.
Yeah.
No.
Or
don't
targeting
call people
creatives with their hate too, which is just awful too. I mean, Twitter's incredible, and YouTube comments, all that stuff is amazing. But if it's all just being used to just generate hate, it's awful.
They're not giving a second thought to what it is that they're putting out in the world. They're not taking a breath and thinking about the fact that the receiving end of whatever it is you're putting out are also other people.
Yeah.
That sucks. That really sucks. It's I think anyone who says, "Oh, people who like Last Jedi are not real fans," oh, go to hell.
Yeah.
And people who say, "Oh, if you don't like Last Jedi, you're sexist." No, shut up.
Yeah.
Everyone just shut up.
Yeah.
Please, can we just shut up?
Yeah.
Debate it. Please debate it.
Yeah.
Debate what you like, debate what you don't. That's fine. But the moment you start getting personal and insulting people, you really don't deserve to call yourself a fan of this franchise, which is it's a franchise that's based around the singular idea of don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Star Wars is about?
Absolutely.
If you're kind of aggressing on people, you've missed the whole point.
Yeah.
Then you know what that means? That means you like these movies because of explosions and spaceships and stuff and fighting. You don't like the movies for the reason that George Lucas liked the movies.
Yes.
If you're that kind of person.
Yes. Yes. About their idea of including galaxies of characters.
Yeah. You're not a real fan if you're not making an effort to be nice to people. I just said it. Blame me. You're not. Come on.
It's so true, man. That's the Jedi way. Can we talk Last Jedi for a second? What did you think of Jedi?
Well, okay. I'm going to try to be as honest but also diplomatic as possible. I think that there were wonderful performances in there. I think that Rian Johnson made the movie that he wanted to make. I think he said what he wanted to say with it. Things like representation and putting people on the screen who, it's like when you hear about people who saw Cassian Andor in Rogue One and felt like, my God, I've never seen myself as a Star Wars. That's all very important, and you can't understate that. I think as you and I being white males, we've had the luxury our entire lives of seeing ourselves on the screen, and to the point where we don't even think about it. There are probably a bunch of people who go, I don't get this all representation thing. Be like, yeah, well, you have the luxury of not getting it.
You're not supposed to really get it.
Yeah. So, but if I'm going to say just from my point of view, then the truths that we cling to depend greatly on your own point of view. Why I did that as Palpatine? I've got the character wrong. My point of view is when you take a beloved character from anything, you've seen the character grow up, you've grown up with the character, you know the character, we have opinions about the character, then there's been books written about the character and comic books and all that stuff. If you fundamentally change that character between stories, if you fundamentally change that character off screen, then at that point you invite people to disagree with you.
Yeah.
You have invited that into your house at that point if you're the filmmaker. Some people will agree with you. And it depends on what the audience is bringing to the table. There are people that I've talked to who needed to see that version of Luke Skywalker in their life. They'd be like, I was Luke Skywalker growing up. Now I'm older and I'm still facing major challenges. So I needed that. Perfectly legitimate. But you know what also is legitimate? People who say, this is the guy who saved Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Darth Vader, like saving Kylo Ren is child's play next to saving Darth Vader.
Yeah.
The first few times that I've faced real challenges in my life and overcame them, it made it 2 to 3 times more likely that I was going to fight way harder next time a challenge came up. Because I was like, look, everyone relax. We've seen this kind of thing before. Let's roll up our sleeves and let's not give up.
Yeah.
And I always felt that Luke Skywalker was
the epitome of not giving up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did not necessarily agree with that version of the character.
Yeah.
I was like, that's just Han Solo. We saw his cynicism. So can you make me believe off screen that Han Solo becomes a guy who would run away? Actually, yeah. I can kind of wrap my brain around that.
Yeah.
That's not as much of a leap. But Luke Skywalker, the George Lucas movies, the long independent film that he made.
Yeah.
Last thing we saw was a guy who had the level of compassion that it would take to throw down his weapon in front of his mortal enemy and declare, I'm not going to fight anyone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hurt anyone. And I'm certainly not going to hurt this man, my father. You failed, because this is what a Jedi is.
Yeah.
I am a man of peace. That guy doesn't ever for a moment think about murdering his best friend and his sister's kid.
Yeah.
He doesn't think for a moment. And furthermore, if he did mess up, he's probably going to force Skype that guy until he answers the phone and say, hey, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So we've learned about Skype. So that's
which is also kind of reflected in the fact that Kylo doesn't really sort of present his true menace either. Like he is a guy that still seems to
have a lot of conflict.
Yeah, conflict internally, exactly.
By the time we're with Vader in episodes 4, 5, and 6, he seems pretty not conflicted.
Yeah.
He seems pretty much like, I'm Darth Vader,
Yes.
okay, that's it.
Yeah.
And Luke's like, I don't think you are. He's like Kylo Ren, who's like, I don't know who I am. And Luke's like, yeah, man, he's lost. I don't know. I got to go and hang out. I've got to find the first Jedi temple so I can hang out and die.
Yeah. Sam, I know you're going to get it. You're going to watch it again. Will you come back and we can just dissect? Maybe we'll put David Collins or maybe somebody else into this mix as well. But let's just get into it, because I feel we could do like a 2-hour talk about The Last Jedi and maybe we have somebody come on that just loves every second of it, and we can have a real discussion around it. I think it'd be amazing.
That's possible, so long as, like I said, so long as it's not contentious. Because the fact of the matter is that if you want that version of Luke Skywalker, it's pretty much as good as it gets, right?
Yes.
Mark Hamill's performance, the way that was presented, all of that stuff. It's like, if that's the version you want, it's a very, very good version.
And I will say, there's a ton to love about The Last Jedi as well. Like, there's lots. I'm right there with you.